Season podcast, episode 6, special week 3 reaction show. This show is out of studio. Nick and I are doing this remotely in reaction to week 3. We will have another show this week on Friday morning where we'll look forward to week 4, and we'll be in studio for that one. So that one will be a little more normal. This one's going to be a shorter version of a week 3 reaction show. I say shorter. We'll see. We'll see where things go here. We'll do our best to keep it short. I know last week was long, but we got a lot to say. And part of the reason that we've adjusted the structure of the show this week is travel, specifically Nick's travel. So last week, Nick was out in Philly. If you follow him on Instagram, he was out in Philly with all of his, or some of his Philly teammates back from 2017-18, and they're doing something pretty cool. So, Nick, I want to hear more about it. What the heck were you doing in Philly late last week?
Yeah, it'll be awesome. It'll come out early 2026, 250th anniversary of our nation. But we were doing a 30 for 30 with NFL Films on the Philly special. And just the people that were part of it, Doug Peterson, Corey Clement, Trey Burton, Jason Kelsey, and myself. And just a full day of shooting, just going around the city, being at the Philly special statue in front of the link, doing different scenes, different conversations, and then trolley rides, great lunch, but cameras the entire time, mic'd up the entire time, and then ending up at the art museum steps. And then we all did individual interviews. So NFL Films was really awesome with the day that we were with them, and I can't wait to see the final project. So really cool. I think all football fans will really enjoy it.
So I was looking at the photos, great photos, by the way, that you posted of your time out there with Jason and Trey and those guys and Doug. Who was the swole dude that was hanging?
That's Corey.
That was Corey?
That's Corey.
So how long has Corey been out of the league?
I mean, he still wants to play. He's in his early 30s.
Corey looks like he could easily transition from like running back to fullback and start blowing people up in the hole.
Yeah, he looked jacked. He was jacked up. He very muscular. Really
bigger than he was when he played, right?
Yeah, he looked a little bit bigger. He was always a bigger running back, physically fit, very muscular, just a powerful guy. But yeah, still wanting to play if the right opportunity arises. But right now, doing some boxing. Going to do some boxing matches. So I think I think he said he had to cut a little weight, which would make sense because he looked pretty swole. But it was awesome catching up with all the guys and just having those conversations. I think the fans really enjoyed it. I mean, we were literally mic'd up from the moment we got to the parking lot when everyone's catching up till the moment we finished at the art museum, getting to meet fans and talk to fans and have quick conversations with them at 3 p.m. So it was a full day in Philly. One of the coolest parts, and everyone will see, is just us riding in a trolley through Philadelphia, and fans sort of pull up beside us and like sort of do a double glance and look and start freaking out. So it was a really cool thing. It'll be an awesome feature. The fact that I'm even talking about, hopefully I can. It'll be exciting. It'll be next year at some point, and hopefully early in the year, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
So, given that you guys, in Philly lore the way you are, you guys were out there on the Rocky Steps and you took those pictures, and I saw Corey. I wasn't 100% sure it was him when I first glanced at it, and I thought, with these guys all out in public, especially Jason Kelsey and his profile now, I'm like, is that the bodyguard? Like, make sure no one bothers them? Who is this? Who is this super swole dude that's with him? Like I said, I don't remember him being that big. Corey looks like crazy swole. So
yeah, I mean, I did take a cool photo of him, like with his arms up, facing the Rocky statue, with our "You Want Philly hat on, and he looks pretty swole in that. But yeah, he's also wearing a tank top. He felt real confident in his muscles, as he should.
He should. What's crazy about my recollection of that game is obviously the Philly special was one of the most famous plays in sports history. But earlier in that, or I guess later in that game, when Corey ran that rail route and you hit him down kind of the seam, not only the throw, but the catch and keeping his feet in, that might have been the most impressive play of the game. And so it's cool that Corey was involved in both, because that play to me is one that really sticks out, even almost more than Philly special. I know fans will think I'm crazy for that, but that was a key touchdown and a key moment of the game. So you heard it.
You want to know what his tag was instead of halfback rail? You want to know what it was?
What?
Halfback stiffy, because we knew he was going to get really excited and go score.
Halfback stiffy. Okay.
It's a little stutter rail.
Some of the play calls, I think would surprise a lot of people. The
Yeah.
references, all that stuff that goes on with those halfbacks.
Yeah, I
Stiffy,
mean,
I
I
remember
don't know
that
what
one.
you're thinking. That was just the play call. I was
Yeah,
just trying to let you know the play call.
Willie Stiffy, Philly
Yeah,
Stiffy. We'll call it
Philly
that one.
Stiffy. It was what was it? Falcon Stiffy. Falcon Stiffy. It was the
Falcon
Falcon was the
Stiffy.
concept, and instead of a halfback flat or halfback read or whatever we said back there, which both those are wrong. It was just
Why
a
not
halfback
call it?
Stiffy.
Why not call it Philly Stiffy? Why not?
Yeah,
Okay, week 3 in the NFL. Crazy. We had a great show last
crazy.
week. We dove into a lot of storylines, things to look forward to. There's some really good takeaways that we're going to jump into from week 3. A lot happened. Once again, I mean, week 1 is kind of like, hey, we think we know what we're seeing, but week 1 lies to us a lot, right? Then you get to week 2 and you're like, ooh, okay. And then week 3, we start to see the truth be told a little bit about some teams. And I think we saw that. We saw teams that we thought looked really good in week 1 that have fallen off a little bit, but we're starting to see teams kind of round into form. I know it's still really early in the season, but we're seeing a little more truth come out with some teams. So here's some highlights from the week. 7 game-winning scores in the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter in each game. 7 game-winning scores in 7 games. That's the most since 1970 to have scores that late in the game across 7 games to determine the final outcome of the game. It happened in the Browns game where they beat the Packers. It happened in the Tampa Bay game where they beat the Jets. It happened in the Eagles game, which everyone's aware of, where they beat the Rams. It happened in the Niners game where they beat Arizona. It happened in the Steelers game where they beat the Patriots. The Chargers game where they beat the Broncos. And the Jags. Who the Jags beat? The Titans? Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't watch the Jags very much.
Texans. Yeah.
Texans suck. The Jags are probably my least favorite team in football. They're very uninteresting, even though I like Trevor Lawrence. And I know I'm not going to piss anybody off because there's like 10 people out there that are fans of the Jags. But it's really hard for me to watch the Jags. When they're on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to change the channel. There are 6 3-0 teams left in the league. The Bills, the Colts, baby. The Bills, the Colts, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Bucks, and the Niners. Of those teams, you might say, well, I don't know if the Niners belong given what they're dealing with. Now, they won at Seattle. That's a good win. But then their other wins are at New Orleans and home against Arizona, so those aren't all that impressive of wins. The Niners are decimated by injuries, and it feels like it's that way every year. What they're dealing with, their franchise quarterback, Brock Purdy's hurt. George Kittle's hurt. Brandon Ayuk's been out for a while.
Dude,
He's going to be out.
I mean, I feel like every year the storyline is San Francisco's injured. Every year. I don't know what but they're also a team that you hear about having all this recovery and sports science and nutrition. It really is surprising. I don't know if there's just bad luck or there's something they're doing, but it seems like year in and year out, the injury bug always gets them. But the fact that they're finding ways to win games and Mac Jones is their backup is pretty huge.
So it's Brandon Ayuk, it's George Kittle, and now the news of the week, breaking news yesterday, Adam Schefter reported that Nick Bosa tore his ACL. I feel for Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa's a Hall of Fame type talent, and for him to go down like that, and they thought he was going to be okay. After the game, they thought his ligaments were stable. They were wrong. Test revealed that it was a clean tear, so he's done. This is the thing that concerns me with the Niners. I don't want to spend too much time on the Niners here, but McCaffrey is an all-world type guy, but he's getting, because of all the injuries and injuries to their 2 main pass catchers, he's getting too many touches. He's seen the ball 77 times so far this year over 3 games. I worry he's next. I don't want to see that happen, but I worry that he's next. You can't give him that many touches with with the way he touches the ball, how many times he's going to get hit, both out of the backfield and as a receiver. I worry about McCaffrey. So I worry about this sustainability for the Niners. It's hard to wonder. We're going to come back to the Colts. If you think they don't belong, we got some statistics for you that are going to make you raise your eyebrows a bit about what this team has accomplished this year. The Rams have yet to beat a team with a winning record. They're not unbeaten, but they're a team that we think pretty highly of. Barely got beat by the Eagles. You arguably should have won that game.
Can't believe that was an amazing game. We'll talk about it more later, though.
And the Bills at 3-0 have, in Vegas right now, the best odds to win it all. I'm not buying that. I like the Bills a lot. I think there's some holes defensively. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league right now. But look, they're 3-0, however you want to look at it. I'm not sure that they're ready to get over the hump yet, but they're a good football team. Next one, Willie, special teams. So there were at least 4 key block kicks that changed games.
Yeah.
Two of them were by the Eagles. One of them was the Browns late in the game, blocked the Packers kick to set up a game-winning field goal for the Browns. Um, and the Jets nearly beat Tampa on a blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown, but Baker responded and did his thing. Man, special teams continues to play a role right now in the NFL.
It's like good or bad. It's one of those things where special teams, when they're doing good, is sort of quiet. It's just like doing their job and doing everything. Special teams so far this year in the NFL is making a lot of noise and changing a lot of strategies and just the field goal kicking ability. And then it's so strange this last week watching games and 4 huge field goal blocks. I mean, I was watching the Eagles game intently, and you know how we had our pick 'em. So I picked the Eagles. What was it, 3.5-point spread? And I'm just sitting there like, gosh. Well, I'm glad the Eagles won, but I did not get my spread. And then Jordan Davis goes down the middle, blocks it, and he picks it up. And I'm just thinking the big guy's going to fall on it. All you hear about is him losing 26 pounds and all this. And all of a sudden he picks it up and he's running with it. And Tori was laughing because now that I'm getting more into being a football fan and talking about it on the podcast and everything, I'm jumping up and down in the living room, running up and down. She's like, why are you excited? I'm like, I covered my spread and the Eagles won. This is huge.
The big
I'm like, I'm going to go
week.
over 500 this week. This is awesome. But it's something like that that's so fun. And I was just thinking as you were talking through this week in the NFL, this was the time to start a football podcast for us, the season pod, because this is a very unique year so far. And then if every year is unique, sometimes it's a little boring. Right now, there's a lot of stuff going on, whether it's new quarterbacks, older quarterbacks getting benched, field goals, blocked field goals, benchings, cuts that you don't expect, teams that aren't. It's insane. Maybe it's like this every year, and this is just the first year I've really paid attention. But it's new to me, and it's exciting to talk about.
No, it's a good point. The game's changing with regard to special teams. I want to get into some punt statistics here shortly with you to show you that the game is changing. And at least so far this year, we'll see if it holds up, and we'll get to that in a sec. Another thing from the week was backup quarterback success.
Yep.
Mariota with Washington looked really good. They beat Las Vegas 41-24.
Good for him,
Mac Jones with the Niners did enough. Mac looks competent amidst a bunch of injuries. They win 16-15. And Carson Wentz, Minnesota. Now that Minnesota wins 48-10 against Cincy. Cincy's got a number of issues.
Problems, man.
Yeah, I mean, we wondered if Jake Browning would hold up, and even though I don't think Jake is a viable long-term starter, I don't even think it's his fault. This team, they've got so many holes, and it goes back to the discussion about, hey, you pay 3 players on your team as much as you pay them, you have other holes, and they're being exposed across the board. They're 2-1, but this is not a team I think that's going to be competing for a playoff spot. I'll tell you this, I may be wrong about this, but I think J.J. McCarthy's in trouble. Carson was not even with this team in camp. And we know what Carson's capable of in his prime. Now, Carson's not in his prime any longer, but Carson can still play. And J.J. was hurt last year. He's hurt again this year. Yeah. And his numbers in this one game were much better than what they got out of J.J. his first 2 games. And I know J.J.'s young, and I know you got to be careful about ruining the career of a young guy. But Kevin O'Connell wants to win. I think he's in trouble. And if Carson continues this, I don't think they'll hesitate, not to move on from J.J., but I don't think they'll hesitate to give Carson a long runway to see what he can do over the next few games.
Well, I mean, my thing is this. I said it when we were talking about it last week. I think Carson Wentz is going to have a great game. There's not many people that know Carson better than I do just from being with him. And I was with him when he was, breaking onto the scene as a young player. But the thing I loved when I'm reading articles about his game and looking at statistics and then just seeing a couple clips here and there was they were saying he was playing point guard and he wasn't trying to do too much. Yeah. And he was letting the defense do their thing. He was letting the team do their thing. I mean, he had a really efficient, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. You probably had the stats right there. I remember I was looking through them all. But to see the name Carson Wentz with he was playing point guard means it shows maturity. It shows that he's not trying to make every single play a hero play, which is something I love about him. The guy never gives up on a play, but that was also to a fault where he would make mistakes by forcing throws or staying up when he's getting hit and all these different things. And that just showed his heart and his love of the game. But the fact that he can go in there, run the offense at an efficient level, and let the team win the game in that manner, the Vikings are very dangerous with Carson Wentz. I know what Carson can do. Carson can still make those plays, The fact that he's deciding not to right now is huge for them because he knows with what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings last year, he can go in. Carson Wentz is every bit as good as Sam Darnold, if not better than Sam Darnold. I mean, the guy is a great player. He just got in trouble sometimes trying to make too much of himself. He's got a great team now. He's got a great offense. It showed last year with Sam Darnold. J.J. McCarthy's a young quarterback adapting to the NFL. If I'm the Vikings, I mean, I agree with you. It is a really tough decision. Yeah, J.J. McCarthy might be your future and you might like things you see it, but you're also risking having a subpar year because you're trying to force a young player to play when you can build on Carson Wentz and potentially become a Super Bowl team. It's a tough conversation as a franchise, but I believe that from being around Carson, you're getting a mature Carson Wentz on a good team. That's a very dangerous thing.
Unlike the situation with Anthony Richardson in Indy, I think there's a way to do this and slow play JJ and give Carson more time without moving on from JJ, right?
Yeah.
So what Kevin said this week, Kevin O'Connell is the head coach of the Vikings. He said, hey, JJ won't play until he has a full week of practice. Okay, so I think there's a way for the Vikings to slow play this if they want to without having to make this declaration that they're moving on, which would be a huge deal, or even cause speculation that they're moving on. Remember, JJ's first-round pick, they got rid of Sam Darnold for him. He's supposed to be the future. They don't have to give all that up in order to give Carson some time. Now, statistically, like you just said, Carson, his yards per attempt is better than JJ so far this year in one game to JJ's 2. His yards per rush is higher. His third down percentage is 14% higher. Carson was converting third downs at 44%, JJ at 30%. And most importantly, Carson's turnovers are at 0. JJ's at 4 over 2 games. So Kevin sees this and goes, hey, you know what? I like what we're doing right now. Carson was seeing things more quickly. The ball was coming out quicker. He was more decisive. Let's roll with this for the time being and see how it goes. But to be very clear, when I say he's in trouble, if Carson continues to play well, I know this sounds crazy, they're not moving on from him anytime soon if he continues. And I realize it's one game, right? Like things could adjust. And since he's not very good defensively either.
I was looking at that up as we talk as a counter. Their defense is among the worst, if not the worst in the NFL. So it was a great game for Carson to go in. If he does this versus good defenses, that's where it happens.
Yeah, it's bad. Like their defense sucks, but again, it's the NFL. It's all about
they got Pittsburgh coming up. They got Cleveland. I mean, they got if he plays
the
next 2 games and goes 2-0.
Pittsburgh defense is terrible. Cleveland's is good.
Conversation.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. He should be able to continue it next week against Pittsburgh. Defense is not very good. I mean, they're highly paid, but they're not very good.
But then Cleveland, if he plays against Cleveland,
that'll be different
with what they did last weekend versus the Green Bay Packers. That's the one.
Okay, injury bug biting early. There's been a number of injuries. I'm going to highlight some main ones. We mentioned Nick Bosa. That's a huge one for the Niners. The Niners are 3-0, and with all these injuries, and you add Nick Bosa to the mix, it kind of feels like they're probably not going to contend. Although, we'll see. CeeDee Lamb gets hurt. I thought it was silly to put him in the situation they put him in. They put him at running back. I don't see the upside of putting CeeDee Lamb at running back and letting him. He's not going to bust a big one for you back there. He's not a physical runner. Obviously, he's fast. He's elusive. But you've got running backs back there. You've got a young running back in Williams that you pay all this money to. You want him to carry the ball. Let him carry the ball. And so you put CeeDee Lamb back there. Sometimes coaches get all enamored with being creative and giving their playmakers the ball. So you give it to CeeDee Lamb, who is not built to carry the ball out of the backfield, and he hurts his ankle. I thought it was very avoidable. I thought it was a dumb play by the Cowboys offensive coordinator. Bad decision, and it bit him. And CeeDee's going to be out. He might even have to go on short-term IR for a little while to try to get past this. I thought that was a stupid mistake by
I don't get it. I mean, I don't know all their coaching staff. I know when I was in Chicago, Cordero Patterson, wide receiver, more of a Hall of Fame kick returner, one of the greatest to ever do it. We would put him at running back to get him touches, but he was not our number one paid wide receiver. So
different deal.
It's a total, but big guy like CeeDee, like 6'2", bigger guy, does not make sense to do that. It's the dumbest thing. Now, if you want to get the ball, I get getting him touches, getting him cheap touches, but we talked about it. Put him on a jet sweep. Do the little toss in front.
Get him on the
perimeter. Do a little back and forth jet sweep motion. That's how you do it with receivers. They run around the side. They're more protected. Like putting him in the backfield and like making him a running back. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like not with CeeDee Lamb.
Not smart.
It doesn't make. You have your running backs to do that. Playing running back is already hard enough. Don't put your number one receiver that you're putting all this money into in the backfield.
So the Bears did it with DJ Moore. Even that feels different to me. DJ Moore's build is
Yeah,
different. He's a
different
different
body
type.
style.
Totally different. It went live. I didn't even know he was going to be hurt this bad. Live, it made no sense to me. I'm like, what are they? Oh, no, CD's hurt. Makes no sense. Najee Harris pops an Achilles coming out of the
Yeah.
backfield, non-contact injury. I definitely feel for him. And now Mike Evans is another notable one. So the reason I bring this up is Tampa, as of late, has not fared well when Mike Evans is not in the lineup. I believe they're 0-3 the last year to year and a half or whatever it is when he's not in the lineup. Baker's been an absolute stud. We're going to get to him later. 3 game-winning drives to go 3-0 in the final minute of the game. Now, granted, Emeka Egbuka's really stepped up at receiver for Tampa, but Mike Evans is a key member of what goes on there, and they lost him to a hamstring. He'll be out a couple weeks, probably 3 or 4 weeks, which is unfortunate for them. That's a 3-0 team that's got a lot of mojo, man. They're playing well. They're doing a lot of good things. Trade deadline is in 3 weeks, so be keeping that in mind for your favorite teams. I think the Ravens might defensively, as we saw. We're going to get into that game later.
They have to, man.
The Ravens just have to find a way to fix things defensively. As we saw last night, they allowed 224 rushing yards. That's the most the Ravens have allowed since 2017 on the ground. They need help. They're going to get pass rushers back. Like their sack leader last year was Kyle Van Noy, and he's been out.
Yeah.
He'll come back, but this defense needs help. I don't know that they'll do anything, but just keep in mind, trade deadline. Okay, Nick, we are 3 weeks into the NFL season, and we've wondered, how's the quarterback situation going to play out for certain teams? We are already facing, after an announcement about 2 hours ago, we're already facing a quarterback change. New York, per the report from Adam Schefter, has decided to bench Russell Wilson and go with Jackson Dart. If you watch the Sunday night game against the Chiefs, Jackson Dart got some time. They cheered when he came in. He didn't have any really meaningful snaps, so to speak, but it was obvious that they're going to keep him ready. And then after the game, the next day, Brian Daboll, the head coach, would not openly commit to Russell Wilson moving forward. He just gave the old, we're evaluating everything, right? Like they love to say, which means quarterback's in trouble. And Russ, to me, as good as he looked against Dallas, and their defense isn't great either, towards the end of that game and in the post-game press conference, he looked like a guy to me. I'm not even criticizing him. He's on a bad football team, but he looked like a guy to me that's made over $300 million, has had a lot of success, and is just sick of the BS. And I don't even know. There might be a sense of relief with him that he's not playing. I don't know. But we wondered before the season. We said they're going to go to Dart at some point. When are they going to do it? I didn't think it'd be by week 3, but here we are. They're going to Jackson Dart. And it's a combo of 2 things in my mind. The organization wants to continue to sell hope. They want the fans to stay engaged. The fans were super pumped when Jackson Dart came into the game for his few plays that he played the other night. So it's sort of them saying, okay, let's continue to sustain this level of hope with our fans and interest with our fans, and let's go with Jackson Dart. And then secondly, I think Brian Daboll is open to it because he's trying to save his job. If this team is awful this year, then... So I ask you from a quarterback standpoint, how dangerous is this when you insert Jackson Dart, who has a bright future, he's a first-round pick, was a good college player, and you insert him into a bad situation? We know how dangerous this can be for young quarterbacks. What are your thoughts on this change?
This is awful. It's so bad. This is the NFL at its worst.
Yeah.
I've been a part of this way too long in the sense of these coaches that are on their last leg and they get a veteran quarterback to go in, and it's just a bad situation. I mean, this is the same Giants team that didn't want to re-sign Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles, was the offensive player of the year in the NFL. Sets all his records.
Best
Huge
acquisition
reason the
ever,
Eagles win a Super Bowl. That was their running back. Okay, let's add another one. Daniel Jones is blamed for all Brian Daboll's issues. Daniel Jones does this, Daniel Jones does that. He is now 3-0 with the Indianapolis Colts, setting records that doing better than Peyton Manning did through his first 3 games. Okay? Let's just say that's 2 players.
We'll get to those
his
numbers.
Overall record,
yes, facts.
His overall record's 18-35-1. Okay? His win percentage after his first year was like 500. What was it?
Wait, who are you talking about?
Brian Daboll.
Okay.
529 to 176 in year 3. Like, he had a great first year, and then it's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. That just shows you as a culture and what he's doing. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know him.
I
know
play
this
for him.
Yeah, you probably. I'll let you talk on that in a second. I don't like it. I know everyone's excited. Jackson Dart got this swag. I mean, we talked about it in the preseason. I forgot Russell Wilson was even a New York Giant with how that organization was handling everything on social media. All about Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has 2 bad games. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, geez, like what do we do?" This is what happens when a coach is on their last leg. They know if Russell keeps playing and they get to midway through this season or 10 games into the season, they're fired. They have no chance. Their only hope of a resurrection right here as a coaching staff is Jackson Dart goes in there and takes them to the playoffs. Then they get signed again and they get a new contract. In Chicago, it was the same thing. It's been that way in Chicago for years and years and years. They draft a quarterback on their last leg. That year doesn't pan out. They try to play that rookie guy. Maybe he shows a glimmer of hope and it saves their job. It's very difficult to happen. The quarterback is not the only issue in New York. It is not. They have many other issues. Now you're putting Jackson. Yeah, this is going to be an exciting week in the NFL. You're going to have a new energy in your facility. You might even go out and win this next game. If you do, that's a huge game because it's versus the Chargers in MetLife. That would be an impressive win. And then you got the Saints, but your schedule is the hardest schedule in the NFL.
Maybe the best defense in the league in the Chargers. That's who you're asking him to face in his first start.
That's going to be an extremely tough battle, and I just hope for them, if maybe he's an unbelievable player and changes everything. I hope that for him. But I know how difficult that is. And being a young player going in this situation, it's still early in his career. He didn't get to watch Russell play that much. Now Russell's in. I mean, I could just tell by watching Russell in his press conference and watching him play, really uncomfortable. The decisions he was making at the end of the game where he's throwing it out of the end zone and not making the run. Like, I'm so used to him scrambling around and making plays and doing that. What it shows me is he's super uncomfortable. I know he can still do those plays, just not at the high level he did several years ago, but he can still do it. But he was erring on like throwing him out of bounds or throwing it through. That was a Russell I hadn't seen. And even in a press conference afterwards when he's talking, like that wasn't the same energy. You'd say, oh, it's because it was a tough game. I don't know. I think it's more. I think it's everything surrounding him. He's not confident in what they're doing as an organization, what they're doing as a team. And he's trying to be a veteran to step in and do it, but he doesn't have all the pieces. And now he gets to get blamed and he's going to be benched. And now this rookie's coming in. It's just a tough situation. This happens all the time. And eventually at the end of the year, these coaches get fired. Then they're going to bring in a new staff to fit Jackson Dart. I don't like this. This happens too much in the NFL. I'm not a fan of it. And I think it's just tough for the young quarterback.
I played for Brian Daboll. He was our offensive coordinator in Philly back in 2010. And
Cleveland?
I'm sorry, in Cleveland. I was a big fan of Brian's work ethic, his creativity. He was very good at game planning. Nobody wants to win more than Brian. He's a very authentic, real dude that works his butt off to make things happen. And I think he's even changed a lot since then. It's been a long time since then. I think he's probably matured a lot too. Like if anything, his emotions would get in the way years ago. And I think some of that has changed a little bit. But to me, this is a cheap solution. It's a cheap solution to a much larger problem. And this is why good players, now I'm not sitting here trying to tell you I think Jackson Dart is the best prospect ever, but Jackson Dart's a promising young player. And this is how you ruin promising young players. This team is not ready to compete. And Russell Wilson is 1 week removed from having a really good game. Now, he did not look good against the Chiefs. And so you might say, well, what are the Giants supposed to do? They've got to find a solution. They've got to start winning. That's fair. But the Giants aren't a playoff team this year. So the question I would ask the Giants is, do you want to be a playoff team next year? Do you want to be a playoff team the year after that? Like the good franchises are not constantly looking to put Band-Aids on problems. Jackson Dart, in all likelihood, I don't care what he looked like in the preseason. I do not care. He's not ready to go face the Chargers, right? And part of it is because the pieces around him, this team is not ready to go face the Chargers. So if I'm Brian Daboll, and by the way, Brian may be fighting to stick with Russ for the time being. Maybe he is. I don't know this. Maybe the organization is like, hey, Brian, we got to move on, right? We need our fans. We need butts in seats, and we need excitement about our team, and Russ is not going to provide that for us. And so Brian is like totally hamstrung and said, I got to go with it. And he's not going to say that publicly. But I hate it. I think it's a cheap solution to a problem. I think you risk not only losing more games, regardless of who's at quarterback, but you risk destroying the psyche of a young quarterback in doing that. They don't protect well. I don't think they have much of a plan. When Russ was throwing it out of the back of the end zone late in the game, I think he was doing it because go watch those plays from the All-22. Go watch those plays. Those were not good play calls. And I think Brian Daboll's better than that. And so Russ was like, "There's nothing there." One of them was just a straight up quarterback draw, and the Chiefs just twisted right into it. They're just not giving him the answers, and it's not going to be any different with Jackson Dart. I don't care what he did in the preseason. I do not care. It's going to be a very, and now you're going to ask him to go and start against the Chargers, and Jesse Minter, who's going to say, I got this young quarterback. My guys will take care of him. I hate it. And we've seen this movie a million times in the NFL, and I fear we're about to see it again with Jackson Dart.
Let me give you a question. If this is a coaching staff with a young head coach and it's his first year coaching as a head coach, brand new staff, this isn't going to be their last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jackson Dart playing right now?
Well, that implies that this is Brian Daboll's decision. Like, yeah. I think he's getting pressure from. I don't know this. I suspect he's getting pressure from, and this is not a unilateral decision. I think he's getting pressure from guys upstairs, like, we got to make a change. And Brian's like, but then Brian probably looks at it and goes, well, I also wouldn't mind saving my job. So if Jackson goes out there and looks good, maybe he gets me another year or two. But
then I'll add to this. Why are they putting pressure on him to make a change? You know why? Because they have to see if this Brian Daboll coaching staff can work with Jackson Dart, who's the future. Yeah, so that's why they have to see him play right now. Because if they can't show that they can coach Jackson Dart and put him in a successful situation, then they have to go get a new staff.
Yeah.
If this is a first-year staff, you're letting Russell ride this out. Russell's going out there. Russell's going to play. At worst case scenario, you let him play through the bye week. Unfortunately, your bye week is not till like week 14. But then you're given, like, say it's just a rough year and it's your first year as a head coach. You're not going to get fired if you don't make the playoffs your first year, most likely. Unless, I know that has happened, but hopefully you don't. You play the last 4 games against the Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, and Cowboys. That way you have a rookie year where you learn the offense, you learn how to be a pro, you learn how to watch a great veteran, a Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson play. And then if it doesn't go well, you get the last 4 games to go into your second year. It goes back to like what we talk about Green Bay Packers. They do an amazing job at protecting their young quarterbacks, their draft picks, their prize picks, to allow them to develop to become quarterbacks that get that second contract, that give you a chance at making a run to where when you step on the field every time you're feared because this guy could go off. Now, I know we'll talk about Jordan Love and all that, and I sort of digress, but there's a lot of organizations, the Giants are in those organizations where they just are forcing these young guys out in bad positions. Yeah, it might go well for a game. I don't suspect it to go well versus the Chargers. Maybe he gets a win versus the Saints, but that's also in the Superdome. This is a very difficult schedule. And after the Saints, you go to the Eagles, or you're playing the Eagles at MetLife on Thursday night. This is a really difficult schedule for a young quarterback to go in. But I think we made our point. We've seen this story too many times. I hate to see it for young quarterbacks because watching Jackson Dart, seeing the way he handles himself, seeing the way his teammates rally around him and everything, I like it. I mean, you also have Jameis Winston on the team. So I'm sitting here too. To protect the young player, play Jameis. Hey. Like Jameis, I know no one will ever do that because that's not what they want, but Jameis has some juice, and people might think I'm crazy. I played the position. I know how damaging it can be as a young player going in and getting your butt beat day in and day out on a bad team. I dealt with it my rookie year. We were just bad. You were there with me. You get beat, and then we won at Tampa, felt like we won a Super Bowl, then beat. Then you go into your first offseason as a pro, and you just sit there having all of this confidence as a rookie, and then you have to rebuild yourself up.
Yep.
And it just changes everything.
Nick, it is the cycle of suck is what it is. Where those that don't pay attention to history are doomed to repeat it, and they just keep putting Band-Aids on problems and contributing to the cycle of suck. And I'm not saying I have the answer to the the Giants getting out of this, but I can tell you right now, I think it's very, very high likelihood that the decisions they're making, you're already on the heels of making terrible personnel decisions, it appears, with Daniel Jones, but for sure with Saquon Barkley. And I know they'll say, well, we weren't in a position to let Saquon succeed. It's like, what are we doing?
We weren't in a position for Saquon to succeed. Let's keep it simple.
What are we doing?
He wouldn't have done what he did. Y'all didn't have the infrastructure in place to allow Saquon to be Saquon. The Eagles did have that infrastructure, and they have a ring. So figure out how to have that infrastructure as an organization, as a franchise, to put your players in successful situations. Y'all have shown for a while now that you don't know what you're doing. I know y'all have Super Bowls however many years ago with Eli and all those things, but y'all haven't done a great job the last decade, so you guys got to figure it out.
Cycling through coaches, bad coaching hires, Pat Shermer, Ben McAdoo, they have just cycled through bad decisions. And we'll see how this plays out. But it doesn't look good, and I really hope that the collateral damage here is not the career of Jackson Dart. Because I
like him.
It's sad when this kind of stuff happens. He doesn't deserve this, right? But
he's got a bright future ahead of him.
It's also the way the league works, right? Yeah. So, okay, it's super interesting, and that's one of the things I'll be really. I mean, most people say I don't care what the Giants do. I do, because these types of things contribute to guys destroying guys' careers, and we'll see where this goes. I want to point out one thing too that I noticed the first 3 weeks, and I'm not sure if you noticed. I think this is super interesting. So. Punting. And this is on the heels of realizing that Indy has punted one time in 3 games this year. One time. Now, that's incredible. I mean, that's not normal. I got the stat here, too, with Indy. I think it's the first time since, 1940 or something like that. Okay, so 1 punt in the first 3 games. Fewest by any team in the first 3 games since at least 1940, according to Adam Schefter. That's incredible.
I can't believe they have statistics back to 1940.
Well, then I was looking at it a little further. Okay, so Indy's punted once in 3 games. Is there a trend? This year, so far, and through 3 weeks, NFL teams have averaged 3.6 points per game. Or, 3.6 punts per game. That's the fewest in NFL history through 3 games. That's a full punt lower than 2018, which is the next lowest. Okay, so they're punting less. You might say, well, it's only been 3 games. That's an outlier. Well, why? Here's a couple reasons why. 4th down attempts are much more common, right? Like guys like Dan Campbell, it's not just, hey, we're rolling the dice. It's part of their plan. They go in saying, hey, 4th and 6 or less, we're going for it. I don't care where, well, not inside their own 30, but when you get to midfield or more, we're going for it. That's one reason why. Kickers are now very comfortable from 60 or more. Let's call it like it is. I mean, it's not every kicker in the league is great, but the reality is over half of them, you say, hey, are you good from 60 outside with a little bit of wind? Yeah, I'm fine. No big deal. And then the last thing, offenses are beginning drives with great field position. So the new kickoff rules, if it doesn't bounce in the landing zone and go in the end zone, that'd be a touchback to the 20. But if it doesn't bounce in the landing zone and goes straight into the end zone on the fly, comes out to the 35.
Yeah.
So that's also a reason why, right? A legal procedure takes you to the 40. That used to be a very penal thing. And now if you kick a ball accidentally into the end zone, it's coming out to the 35. And we're seeing more of that as well. And because teams are trying to not do that, they're keeping the ball shorter. Teams are catching it and returning it with no problem past the 30. So even on returns, teams are starting 30 to 35, much easier. That used to be a really good return. That's a normal thing now. So the average possession this season has started at the minus 30.7 yard line. So ahead of the 30.
Wow.
Is the average starting position, and with how good kickers are, and the fact that teams go for it on 4th down more often now, but with how good kickers are, you're a couple completions away, a first down or 2, from being in field goal range. So punters are they're chilling, they're being phased out for the most part, and teams just aren't playing the field position game nearly as much as they used to. So. In fact, okay, check this one out. Punts may slip below the 50% mark of 4th down plays for the first time in league history. This year, only 51% of 4th down snaps have been punts. 51%.
Wow.
In 2018, it was 61. That's the next lowest in the last decade. That's wild. So as a quarterback, when you think, not only is your philosophy just, hey, we're going for it on 4th down, but we're starting with better field position. The punt is not even in, Dan, you watched the game on Monday Night Football. Detroit going to Baltimore, the punt's not even part of the calculus anymore.
No.
It's no, unless we're backed up, we're going for it, or we're kicking a field goal because we're going to be in field goal range. That's what it feels like. Now, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get my point. It feels much different with how teams are approaching the game, or it's slowly changing, and this year it really seems to be more noticeable to me.
I think it's more exciting for the fans. I mean, they're trying to always make it more exciting for the fans. And, less punting. Punting's always the play where you're all right, now it's field position, all that. But now you have, like you said, more people going for it on 4th down, longer field goal attempts, which is always an exciting opportunity to see, hey, what does this field goal kicker have in them? I do think it's fascinating the direction the league is going. I think all the statistics of the reasons why make a ton of sense of why it is the way it is.
Yeah, well, something to keep an eye on. As you watch football on Sundays, you watch on Thursday night, you watch on Monday night. If it feels different, it is different. And the game from that standpoint, and the fourth down play calls are damn good because it's not just a desperation play, especially with the Lions. We're not talking desperation play calls. Like these are scripted,
Their fourth
thought
down,
out.
there's a fourth down section that is growing. We always had one with a few
Yeah,
plays, but you early in my career and like when you played, like you weren't really going for it on fourth down until you had to. It was just through third. Now you have a full box
yep.
of probably 8 plays that are your fourth down plays, or they're just grabbing obviously from third and short. They're grabbing from their third down menu, and they know that. So my guess is on these play cards, play calling sheets, those third down sections have grown quite a bit.
There's in football, there's a lot of over the last 20 years, there's a lot of, hey, this is how we do it because it's always been done that way. And that's the
Yeah,
reason a lot of coaches, like, it's like dogma. Well, they'll just be like, why do you guys do it this way? Well, because it's always been done that way. And I think we're seeing a lot of like principles that have just always been held as absolute truth be challenged.
yeah,
And looking at it, and it slowly happened over the last 8 to 10 years, but it really seems to be coming together now. And it's changing the way games are called. You hear on Monday Night Football, they referenced it a lot. Dan Campbell, when it's third down, especially when they're in plus territory inside the 50, when it's third down, he's on the headset telling Johnny Morton, his offensive coordinator, like, hey, you got 2 downs here to get 4 or 5 yards. Like, whatever you call them third down, I think they're telling Jared Goff that too. Just know we're going for it on fourth. So,
yeah.
like, take an easy completion here, get positive yards, don't lose yards. We're going to go for it. We got 2 plays here. We're fine, right?
And it ingrains this mindset into your team. I was just with Doug Peterson in Philadelphia when we were filming the 30 for 30, and we're just talking about that Super Bowl year in 18, and specifically the Philly special on 4th and 1, where once you see the TV copies, everyone's surprised that the Eagles are going for it on 4th and 1. You got to kick the field goal, got to take the points, be really conservative, don't be aggressive. We were the team that year that went for it on 4th down all the time, all throughout the course of the year. And it was actually, it had become the DNA of the team. So much so, on that 4th and 1, it was never a question in that situation in the Super Bowl, only up 3 points with, I don't know, it was like 38 or 28 seconds to go, that we were going for it. Like, none of us thought in the huddle, we're not going for this. And that's a mindset, because we've been on teams too where it's 4th and 1, you're just running off the field. And they're like, no, stay on the field. Stay on the field. We're going for it. That's a psychological shift. And when you have that mindset is you're going to have to pull me off the field on 4th and 1 to 3, we're not moving. We're staying in the huddle. I'm waiting till you say in the headset, we're punting. That's a different move. I would love to see the statistics of teams running off the field and then coaches throwing them back on and say, go for it, as opposed to the teams that just stay there and say, give me the play call, we're running it.
Yep.
So that was a mindset, that was a shift, that was a DNA, that was something that was ingrained in us that season through the way we prepared. We practiced it all the time, good on good. During the week, we'd go for it on, we play ones versus ones, 4th downs or third and short, third down situations to say, like, keep the drive going. And then we actually did it in games. We lived it. We were not afraid at midfield or even in our own area. Hey, 4th and 1, we're confident we're going to get this. So on the biggest stage, we were able to do it at the highest level. We had a 4th and 1 on the game-winning drive that Ertz caught a touchdown. He caught a 4th and 1 as well on a mesh route. And once again, we never thought we weren't coming off the field. I mean, that was a game-winning drive, but at the same sense, we were ready to go. Mindset, the pressure wasn't any bigger on 4th down. We were ready to execute the 4th down play. It was just another play to us. That's something that's created. That's something that Dan Campbell's doing. That the league has watched that. They have watched that for several years, and all these analytics are probably getting to all these coaches and saying, hey, you actually want to go for it on 4th down. You want to go for it here. The analytics, the statistics have shown the last several years, the teams that have the most success, they go for it on 4th down. 100% these coaches are getting that information, and they're having to shift their form of thought to probably be in an uncomfortable situation to say, hey, we're actually going to start doing it as well, especially with how you said the kickoff situation and all that, the touchback. You got to go for it. You got to be aggressive because you get an extra down.
We used to see it a lot for a long time inside the 10, inside the 5, because if you don't get it, you've got great field position, you've got the team backed up, so it's worth the risk. We're seeing it more all over the field. And by the way, there are a lot of ways to do it. So Detroit right now is the number one team in the league on fourth down. They have the most fourth down conversions, best percentage in the league. And by the way, Detroit does not have a tush push. Detroit is doing it in a lot of different ways. And we know Philly's deadly when they get to 4th and 2 or, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. Detroit's doing it in a lot of different ways. They trust their passer. They trust their running game. They trust their offensive line. And it's fascinating to watch. By the way, for those of you that can't see that are listening and don't see the video portion, Nick is drinking a Saratoga water. I'm a huge fan of sparkling water. Love sparkling water. I drink it all the time. LaCroix's fine. Pellegrino obviously really good. I'm big on like the ratio of bubbles. Like I think Topo Chico's good, but it's a little too strong with the bubbles. Saratoga found the mix, the perfect mix for their sparkling water. It's the best sparkling water I have ever had, and I think Nick's on board on that as well.
This is why we work great together. I was about to bring this up in this conversation to just break the football talk up and say, hey, you were mentioning this water. I obviously saw Instagram ads of all the putting it in a bowl and dumping your face in it. I just get in a cold plunge myself. I don't do the face like in the cold water. I just prefer to drink the water. I agree with you. This is so good. It's got the perfect.
Even the bottle's great.
The bottle's great. Perfect carbonation. Perfect sparkling. Thoroughly enjoying it. Quenching my thirst and also quenching the vocal cords so we can have this podcast.
There you go. So Saratoga.
Not a sponsor. Not a sponsor.
No, but we can talk to him. Saratoga.
But we're going to talk to him because really, I just want some.
If I'm at a restaurant,
I like the sparkling water.
If I'm at a restaurant and order sparkling water and they bring out a Saratoga.
It's a 10 out of 10.
Talk about Philly Stiffy, like it kind of goes down that road.
You get the Saratoga Stiffy. I get it.
Okay, so fourth downs are changing, punting is changing. Something to watch the rest of the year. Willie, let's hit some games quickly here. Game reaction. So Green Bay loses to Cleveland 13-10. Keep in mind here, Green Bay with about 3:56 left in the game, according to ESPN Analytics, was a 93% chance to win. They were up 10-0, and then Jordan Love throws a pick. Cleveland scores. Green Bay gets the ball back. They try to kick a field goal. It gets blocked, sets up Cleveland's game-winning field goal. Look, Cleveland's defense is tough, but a bad loss by Green Bay. It's worth noting Green Bay was banged up on their offensive line. 2 of their key offensive linemen exited the game at one point. I think this caused conservative play calling. They could not stretch the field at all. Jordan Love was getting hit way too many times. He got sacked 5 times and pressured often. 18-25 for 183 yards. Green Bay's defense held up their end of the bargain. I still think Green Bay is we're going to get to our power rankings later, a top 5 team in the league. But at the same time, I have reservations still about Jordan Love. Look, I understand why they paid Jordan Love. I understand why Jordan Love is their quarterback, but I'm still wondering, is Jordan Love a high-end quarterback talent in the NFL? Is he a top 8 quarterback in the league? Or is he going to become one this year? With how good Green Bay is and how balanced Green Bay is. And Green Bay had other issues too. 14 penalties by the Packers. 14 penalties in this game. And a lot of key mistakes. Jordan Love's pick was probably the biggest, and the blocked field goal shortly after that. But I still wonder, like, Jordan Love, is he, obviously he's the guy in Green Bay. That's a dumb question. But is he enough for this team to become, it's an elite roster. Is it enough for this team to win a Super Bowl, is my question. I honestly don't think we have I'm not going to say no, but I don't think we have the answer to that yet. And I think that's something that's not being talked about enough. As good as Green Bay is, they're 2-1 now, should be 3-0. And we have them in our top 6 in the power rankings. Is their quarterback good enough to win them a Super Bowl this year? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's the guy they paid. He's the guy they drafted. He's the guy that is going after Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's all to be determined. I need to see more of him playing. Obviously, against the Browns, that's a tough one. But I will say this: all great teams have a game or two each season where they blow it.
But you're not sold yet, though, is my question. From what you
What's
said.
that?
Like, I know Jordan Love is talented.
I agree with you. I'm not sold yet. Okay. I'm not sold that he can take. I want to see him take complete command and take over games in these situations that are like dull games, that are tough games, and make those smart decisions at the end of the game to put your team in a position to win the tight ones against the teams that you absolutely need to win against. I'm with you. I need to see him do that. I'm not completely sold on does he have the ability to be a great quarterback in the NFL? Absolutely. Does he have the ability to take Green Bay to Super Bowl? I'm not sold on that yet.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting with how good this roster is.
Yeah.
And he's the next guy in line there. We'll see if he's got that ability. Tampa beats the Jets at home, 29-27. Tampa wins that game. So remember, Tampa looked like they were going to win it. They're kicking a field goal. The Jets block it, return it for a touchdown, and then Baker leads them on a final drive. They're down 1 after the touchdown. Then Baker leads them on a final drive with some great throws to Emeka Egbuka, some great catches, and Tampa kicks a field goal to win the game. Baker is now 3-0, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-0 this year. Every one of their games has come with a game-winning drive in the final minute. Baker is a stud. It's not perfect, but Baker is a stud. And this team is winning because of his grit. I like some of the things they do defensively. I think Todd Bowles is a good defensive coach. But after the game, he mentioned, the dudes on that sideline, their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks.
Coach Wilks, yeah.
That's the guy that cut him in Carolina. And Baker, I think Baker plays with a chip. I like Baker a lot more right now than I liked him when he first came in the league. He has kind of an underdog mentality. He's toned it down a little bit on the things that I didn't like about him. But Baker, man, he's a dog. And he knew Steve Wilks was on that sideline, and he plays like he was trying to prove something. Baker has gone from the guy that won a Heisman Trophy and was the first guy in the draft to now having this underdog chip. And he's kind of always already had it, right? Like he was a walk-on at Texas Tech, transferred to Oklahoma. I know that. But it's even more pronounced now. And I think it's elevated his level of play. And he was dead serious when he just looked in the mic or looked at the camera and said, there's a guy on that sideline that cut us. So it was personal for us. And
that's real. I mean, we both know when we have a history with coaches and we play against them. I mean, it was funny. In 2017, there was a run of 3 games in a row that I played against opposing coaches on the other sideline that I was with that were difficult seasons, and maybe they made decisions that affected my life that either traded me or put me in a bench me, all these different things, and it made me better. Those trials made me better, and I'm grateful for them. So it's not like I dislike them per se, but I didn't have a great time with them when they were my coaches.
Yeah.
I knew that in the back of my mind they were on the other sideline. So when we beat them, it did feel good, and I enjoyed it. But I also realized that those trials were what made me who I was at that time. So there was a gratitude as well. But as a competitor, you feel it. So I get
you don't want to give them credit for that.
No, I'm just trying to take the high road and also let people know that you don't want to have that hate in your heart. Though you are a competitor and you feel it. I am a human being and I did feel it, and it felt great to get those victories against them. No doubt. But at the same time,
I'm looking at the high road. I'm waiting for you one time. I was waiting for you one time just to say.
I've been pretty. I was pretty rough on the Giants at the beginning for a good reason.
I want to whoop his ass. That's what I was waiting to hear.
Yeah, I mean that would come.
You got too much class for that, though. I have no class. I would have said it.
No, that's why I got you here, though. That's why we work well together. Is I got you to say that and me to straddle that line a little bit. But a big thing with Baker too, we've talked about it already. His maturity now, where he's at, not only from a player's perspective but life perspective. He's a dad, he's a husband, he's got all these different things going on. But the big thing as a player, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah,
he's being smart with the football, and that's what we talked about. We just talked about Jordan Love at the end of the game and a costly interception. These quarterbacks that have the ability to take their team to the next level, they eliminate those in those situations. If they know it's a tight game, you got to be really smart with the ball and know when to force and when to not. I mean, the fact that he has 0 he's going to throw some interceptions this year, no doubt. But the thing about him is he's a gunslinger. He, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, slings the rock, has thrown the ball really well the last several years. His statistics are through the roof.
Yeah.
He's a guy right now in the 2-minute drill. Every time he's in a 2-minute drill, I expect him to score, and that's something that you earn through constantly playing and constantly doing it. There's other guys in a 2-minute drill, I'm like, man, maybe if they get lucky and someone misses a tackle, they're going to get it. But he's a guy that I feel confident in leading his team down in the 2-minute drill. And those are the guys that can win a Super Bowl, that can take a team to the next level, is who can win in a 2-minute drill. Who are you confident in when the 2-minute drill's on the line as a game winner that it's going to get done? Baker Mayfield is that right now for me.
So he's beaten Atlanta, he's beaten Houston, he's beaten the Jets. These are not good football teams.
Not good teams.
Something to keep in mind, but it's still impressive the way he's done it. And another thing to keep in mind, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Mike Evans. Mike Evans hasn't gone off this year by any means. He's got 140 yards through 3 games, 14 catches, 10 yards a catch, and 1 touchdown. Mike Evans is due to have a breakout game, but unfortunately he's hurt. He tweaked his hammy, and Mike Evans has done this before with his hamstrings. He was very upset on the sideline, but he's going to be out for a few weeks. And they generally don't fare well when Mike Evans has been out last year, and really the last year and a half. So how does it go, right? And now they add Emeka Egbuka, who's really been their best receiver so far this year, but some of that's because Mike Evans gets a lot of attention. So it may change the way Emeka Egbuka produces. So we'll see. But Tampa's been an intriguing.
Well, they got a good game coming up.
Who they got next?
The Eagles are going down to Tampa Bay.
There you go. The Eagles are favored by 3.5 points, I believe it is.
Yeah, that'll be our Thursday or Friday show this week when we go through that. But that'll be a good one. I'll save all my thoughts for it then. I want to talk about it right now because I have a lot of thoughts about it, but we said we wouldn't do it. We would not go there, so we're going to save it for our Thursday, Friday recording. Show. In studio. In our new studio.
All right.
Looks good.
Indy beats Tennessee 41-20 to go 3-0.
Man.
At 3-0, you could say, hold on, who is let me look it up real quick. Who has Indy played? I don't know. How good do I feel about it? Let me just remind you of a few stats of what Indy is doing right now. They have 0 turnovers this season. First time in franchise history through 3 games they've had 0 turnovers, right? Shane Steichen deserves a ton of credit for this as well.
The Giants deserve credit for them. The Giants deserve credit for the Colts' success.
They do. And that's totally fair. They've got 103 points through 3 games.
Unbelievable.
Right? For those of you doing the math, that's over 30 points a game. That's over 33 points a game for those of you doing the math. 103 points in the first 3 games. Not even a Peyton Manning team in Indy did that. One of the years Peyton had 100 points through 3 games. But just to give you an idea,
I think Eli already said that Daniel's the greatest quarterback to wear a Colts uniform.
Through 3 games.
Through 3 games
so far, right? So it's and they've got 1 punt through the first 3 games. We mentioned that earlier when we were talking about punts. Fewest by any teams in the first 3 games since 1940. Okay, so the Colts are doing things against NFL opponents that no other Colts team has done. And there's been some pretty damn good offenses in Indianapolis. Okay, and what I really appreciate about Daniel Jones, so from a numbers standpoint, he's a 71.6% passer. That tells me, A, the play calling is good, and B, he's making really good decisions. Yeah, he's been accurate and all that. His receivers are converting, but he's making good decisions, and they've made some good play calls. He's got 816 yards, which is roughly 275 yards a game. He's 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
6.
Excuse me?
So I think 6 touchdowns now.
Well, some of them are rushing.
No, he's got 3 rushing touchdowns as well.
I was going to get to that. 17 rushes for 55 yards and 3
I'm just ruining it. I'll let you do your thing.
3 passing. I was giving his passing stats. You want to handle the rest?
You want me to take over?
I'll just log off.
He's got 9 total touchdowns, 0 turnovers.
17 rushes for 55 yards and 3 rushing TDs. So the balance too has been really interesting because Jonathan Taylor.
Let's talk about Jonathan.
Jonathan's had some great moments in the NFL, and then injuries have gotten him at times. Yep. And this dude is back. 60 carries through 3 games.
Back.
338 yards through 3 games, to 112 yards a game. 3 rushing touchdowns, just over 112 a game. 3 rushing touchdowns, 5.6 yards a carry. Okay, so you wonder how your quarterback is playing well. I don't want to take anything away from Daniel Jones, but it's complementary football. It's what the Giants can't do, and why Daniel Jones is so happy in Indy. He's got a running back and an offensive line that's taking care of business. It's opening things up for him. They don't have to lean on him too much. He's not throwing the ball 50 times a game. He's not playing from behind and having pass rushers pin their ears back and try to kill him. This is a well-balanced offense. And here's the other thing that for you Indy fans that are very hopeful about what's going on, 2 teams in their division, the Texans and the Titans, are 0-3. The arrow is pointing up for Indy. This is super exciting for the Colts and Shane Steichen.
No, it is. And I mean, you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. I was his teammate. I got to see him firsthand. The dude's the real deal. The dude is the real deal.
See that run this week where he put that spin move on, that long 60-yard run or whatever? I mean,
dude, not only is he the real deal, great teammate. People love him in the facility, the way he treats people and everything. You love to see it. He obviously early in his career, some amazing years. Then you said injury prone. The guy has the ability to have a Saquon Barkley type of year this year. He has that skill set. With Daniel Jones running Shane Steichen's offense and doing his job, and then he also has the ability to run the ball. I've played against him. I've seen him firsthand. Daniel Jones can run the ball extremely well. He has some wheels. that is a dangerous team right now. It's pretty impressive. I'm really excited for the Colts fan base right now and what they're doing. And then, Carly's on the sideline with the headset. And I was actually looking that up. She's been doing that since like 2012 or something. It's just now it's getting a lot of attention because she is the owner with her father passing away. Now it's getting the attention, but she's always done that. She's always loved that part of the game. And I just find it really fascinating this season. They are going to be a storyline throughout the course of this season is what are the Colts doing and can they keep this going?
So you want to talk about a test. Colts are heading into week 4 this weekend. They play at the Rams. The Rams are good. The Rams have a very good young defense and a good veteran quarterback and talent offensively. And Indy's a 3.5-point dog. We're not going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about it on Friday. But Indy has a legit test for a Rams team coming off a loss at Philly. They're going to LA to play the Rams this week. They're a 3.5-point underdog. If they come out of that one at 4-0, we're not going there yet. We'll go there.
No, we got to save it for later this week. I know it's hard.
What an awesome test for
We're
them,
only talking about what happened this last week. We told each other we wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
So we're going to wait.
What an awesome test.
It's going to be a 2-part series this week, and I apologize. It's due to my travel. But it's going to be great. I can't wait till Friday.
I love that this game is coming up when it is. I think it's awesome.
Potential game of the week for us.
Yep. I
can't wait to watch that one. That's a real test. I'm a big Shane Steichen fan, so
that game might actually be better than the way you say potential. You say potential, kind of like Bengals.
Potential. Well, I got a little bit of the Southern slang.
It's potentially a good game. He's got that little.
Hey, you've heard my dad talk. You've heard Larry talk. I got a little bit of Larry.
What's going to be better, the game or the way you say potential? I say, hopefully the game, but we'll see.
Hopefully the game.
Yeah, hopefully
that and Bengals.
All right, Chargers beat the Broncos 23-20 at home. Look, Justin Herbert's been awesome. The Chargers defense is really good. That's a really good win for them because I think the Broncos have not really hit stride yet. I think the Broncos are a threat to win the AFC West. And because both these teams are so good, I think there's a pretty good chance we don't see the Chiefs make the playoffs this year. But we'll get to that.
Hey, I mean, that's a big statement right there.
I think this is the year. That's my prediction.
There's going to be a lot of Swifties out there that aren't very happy with you.
But where I want to go with this really quick is Harbaugh. So I played my senior year of college at Stanford for Harbaugh. He came in. We were a bad program at Stanford. Harbaugh came in and turned it around quick. And Stanford saw sustained success for a very long period of time. And we've seen Harbaugh coach at San Diego, University of San Diego, small, Division I AA school or whatever it is. We've seen him be the head coach at Stanford. We've seen him be the head coach for the Niners. We've seen him be the head coach for for Michigan. I just lost my train of thought. Michigan. And we've also obviously seen him be the head coach for the Chargers. So, premier college programs, NFL teams. He's been to a Super Bowl with the Niners, 3 straight NFC title games. We've seen a lot of other coaches try to cross over, right? Like, Jimmy Johnson back in the day did it, but the greatest coaches, right? We're watching Bill Belichick try to do it right now, and Bill deserves more time.
There's only a few. Be careful.
But Nick Saban's probably the best example. Nick Saban is the best college coach of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers are staggering with what he's been able to accomplish. But I know some dudes that were in Miami when Nick Saban went to coach the Dolphins, and it was not pretty. His approach didn't work. They hated him. It was a massive failure, and he went back to college. So for that reason, if we define a great coach by success at multiple levels, so if I make the criteria of that for now, like I'm not going to tell you Jim Harbaugh's the greatest college coach of all time because that's what Nick Saban is. And he's also not the greatest NFL coach of all time because that probably is reserved for Bill Belichick right now. But overall, no one has been able to do what Jim Harbaugh is doing. Nobody. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that's better than he is. He has never, here's the other thing too. Regardless of the level, the dude has never failed.
Pete Carroll?
I thought he might. Now, Pete, fair. Pete is in the process of, well, I want to give him more time in Vegas. But no, I take that, no.
When Carroll won a national championship at USC.
I know he did, but when Pete got hired.
And a Super Bowl.
He's got a national championship and Super Bowl, fair. And Harbaugh doesn't even have that. But when Pete got hired by SC, and I grew up in Southern California, that was like their third choice. When SC hired Pete Carroll, nobody around SC was excited. Nobody. So Pete Carroll has failed. He told a great story when I was playing in Seattle about when he got fired by the Jets or the Patriots, can't remember. And he's like, "You're firing me?" And then he's like, but then I remembered I had all this guaranteed money. So I was like, oh, cool. I'll see you later. It was a great story. But Pete has failed.
Yeah.
Pete's older than Jim. Pete's 74 years old or whatever it is. But Jim Harbaugh has never failed.
Yeah.
He took San Diego to new heights, University of San Diego, that is.
Yeah.
He took Stanford to a level that we may never see again, and we hadn't seen before that. I mean, Stanford, the years he was there, was probably good enough to beat Alabama. That's how good they were. Is after I left. With the Niners, 3 straight NFC title games. Now, I'm not saying he gets along with everybody, which is why he gets run out of town sometimes. I thought he might fail at Michigan. It looked a little bleak at times, like maybe they'll move on from him. They gave him like an incentive-laden contract and didn't really wins a national championship. Okay? And now he's with the Chargers, and they're already a force. They're in our power rankings. They're in our top 6 power rankings. The Chargers are special. Defensively, they're remarkably already noticeably much better than they've been in the past. They're a well-coached football team. Jim Harbaugh is a miraculous football coach. And I can tell you from my time with him, the things that he does best is he hires a fantastic staff, and he puts everybody around him, players and coaches alike, in a position to succeed. I will also say this, and I would say this to Jim, and this is not an insult. Jim's football acumen is not off the charts. He's not the type that's going to sit there like a mad scientist and draw up plays. That's not his thing, and that's okay. Jim's a motivator. He's got an eye for talent and putting people in positions to succeed. And he's also able to motivate without causing resentment, like the old John Wooden quote, right, where they say, "Hey, true leadership is doing it, get people to follow you without breeding resentment amongst the ranks," right? What Jim has done, and I think he's grown up a lot the last 15 years. I think early on people rub people the wrong way. He's pretty rough, but I think his style has changed a little bit too. But as I watch the Chargers play right now, Justin Herbert's fantastic. The guy literally does everything well. I mean, doesn't really have any holes in his game. Like, he has all the tools. But my takeaway is Jim. And Jesse Minter's in place because of Jim, right? Jim eyeballed that and said this would be a great guy. And he deserves credit for that. Jim Harbaugh is a fantastic head coach. He has never failed as a head coach. And I'm pulling for him to win a Super Bowl.
No, I think you said it best. I mean, you know him better than I do. I played against him throughout my time in the NFL. I played against him 3 times in college. First time we got him in Tucson, I think you were at the game, and then the next 2 times they just crushed us. They were just so good. That was at the premiere of the Andrew Luck years at Stanford, and just the way whenever he goes to a team, you know that team's going to be good. It might take a little bit of time, but he usually makes an effect in his first year. And then year 2, we talked about before the season, like, I'm excited to see Justin Herbert with Jim Harbaugh. Like, I'm excited to see this year 2 take effect. And they're doing what we thought they'd do. We knew they'd be a better team. Jesse Mentor, like, what he's doing with the defense, what they're doing as a franchise, it's really awesome. Can't wait to see what they do the rest of the season.
All right, Willie, let's jump to Bears. I can hear Bodie. He's getting pissed.
Kids got, hey, we're also dads. So, fun fact, we're also dads, and kids can be around. But I'm glad we're doing this today.
Nick's, so is Bodie 3?
He'll be 3 in November.
Bodie's got a bigger ass than Nick, just in case anyone's wondering. Like, it's
Bodie got a booty.
Bodie's got
a booty.
Okay, so the Bears dominate the Cowboys 31-14. I want to hit this real quick. Caleb had 4 touchdowns to 4 different targets. That Cowboys defense gave Jalen Hurts some issues with pressure in week 1, and they couldn't get. I think this is really, really promising for the Bears offense. They couldn't get to Caleb. Caleb wasn't sacked 1 time. He was sacked 68 times last year. Caleb, and some of it's his fault, has not gone through an entire game without being sacked since 2023 when he was in college playing at Stanford. Okay, so that's an accomplishment for them. It's also a hat tip to Ben Johnson for putting them in a position to be successful. Great play calling. The flea flicker was almost funny with the way the running back flicked the ball back.
Oh my goodness!
Hung in the air for 5
worst
minutes.
Toss I've ever seen.
I can't believe it worked. Crazy.
I mean, as a quarterback, you're just waiting for that thing to come down.
Oh, I mean, I can't believe the way he flicked that. They had to be laughing about that the next day.
Oh, dude, that was definitely in the film room, and it worked out, and they're just making fun of that running back. Yeah. And like, you're never going to be the one to do this again.
So there were a lot of great plays by Caleb, great throws, great plays by their playmakers in this game. But one thing that stuck out to me, just a situational observation that I had during the game, late in the first half, and this was a key moment because they already had a lead, and they're trying to build on that lead going into halftime. The Bears had the ball, and there was about 2:13 left, and they were in minus territory, so the other side of the 50. And I thought, okay, 2-minute mode, right? They had a couple timeouts, but I thought, like most teams, they would like frantically try to move the ball down the field, start chucking it. I love what Ben Johnson did. Ben Johnson goes, nope, we're going to run our offense. And to be honest with you, at first, and I think one of the reasons they wanted to run their offense too was to take more time off the clock and not allow the Cowboys to get the ball and give Brandon Aubrey a chance to make a 60-yarder or 65-yarder for that matter. But he ran the ball 3 or 4 times to start the drive. And to the naked eye, you're kind of like, wait, what are they doing here? Are they not even trying to get points? Are they just like happy to run? And Tom Brady made a great observation. Tom said, no. He's like, they're fine. They got time. They're running their offense. They're keeping Dallas honest. And they got some yards on their runs, 4 or 5 yards at a time. So you're like, okay, 15, 20 yards on the runs, great. And then they throw a pass. About 124 left, and they get a couple big plays. And now they're inside the 15 with under a minute left. And you thought, oh, and they got their timeouts. This worked. I love the way Ben Johnson went about doing it. And he was asking Caleb, he basically told Caleb before the snap with his play calling, Caleb, take a deep breath, settle down. We're going to run the football 3 times. We're going to get some positive yardage, keep this defense honest, make them get out of their sort of 2-minute mode defensively as well, and play us straight up. And then we're going to take some play action shots. And they did. And it led to a touchdown. And I thought that sucked the wind or sucked the life out of the Cowboys, really their locker room going in at halftime. When they gave up that touchdown, I think they looked around going, and we know Dallas's defense isn't great. They can't get after the passer. Shocker. But I think that killed them before the half. And I think Ben Johnson and Caleb, for executing it, deserve a bunch of credit for that. Because I think it was very calculated what he was doing. And it looked weird at first. But Ben Johnson handled that perfectly. And I honestly think that put the Cowboys away before the half. Really well done.
I think it's great, too. I think you see a young head coach meshing with his young quarterback and also protecting him in that situation. I mean, so many times in those 2-minute situations, you go out there and it's like you're just throwing 2-minute drill passes. You're not running the ball. It's like an anxiety that you got to overcome, and making all those decisions. And as a young player, it can be difficult. But like you said, running the ball 3 times, allowing him to settle in, allowing him to be comfortable, getting to just your offense. You have plenty of time. You know that. Part of it, like you said, is to keep Brandon Aubrey off the field. He's a weapon for the Dallas Cowboys kicking the ball. But it also shows Caleb that it's teaching him how to play quarterback. It's teaching him how to settle in. This isn't like college where you have to run around and make every single play and be the hero. Just run the offense. These guys are good. We're going to protect you up. Stay in the pocket. Make these decisions. We're going to let you settle in, and continue to grow as a player. Big step in the right direction for the Bears, but at the same time against a bad Dallas Cowboys defense. Big win for them, getting Ben Johnson's first win, allowing Caleb to have a clean game, not getting sacked. Something they can build on, but it also shows that Dallas has a lot of issues, and them trading away Micah Parsons isn't really helping that right now.
Caleb was a 68% passer for 298 and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That is a career game for him so far, and that's something to build on.
Unbelievable
fantastic
game.
Job by Ben.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson and his staff deserve.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, let's hit Detroit real quick. They went in Baltimore 38-30 last night. What a game that was! Fantastic game.
So impressive. Impressed with what they're doing right now. I am with new coordinators and stuff like that. I am super impressed with what Dan Kimball's done.
So the Lions defend. I know there's so much to talk about offensively, but defensively, 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. They got after the passer. Right, and that's tough to do with Lamar. They got him 7 times, and I think they caused some confusion defensively. And I think it's Kelvin Shepard, their defensive coordinator, deserves a lot of credit for that. They have great balance offensively. They had 2 drives over 90 yards. They rushed for 224 yards as a team. The Ravens haven't allowed that much yards on the ground since 2017. It's starting to look like the Packers defense is really just that good. So if you're going back to week 1, you're like, what the heck happened to Packers defense is good. And they played at Lambeau, and it was week 1. But the Lions appear to be what they were last year, right? With maybe even a little better defensively because they got some guys back. The Ravens, on the other hand, have some issues, right? Defensively, they simply cannot get stops. And here's where I think their issues lie. So the Ravens, because their defense isn't very good, here's the problem. Their offense is almost too explosive. So the Ravens are averaging the second lowest plays per drive in the NFL. So usually that means you're a bad offense. But here's the problem. Because you're not getting that many plays each drive, you're punting, But here's the issue. They're the number one total offense in the league. And they're averaging the second least amount of plays per drive. So they're getting off the field too quick, and their defense sucks, at least for now. They suck. And so teams are running all over them. Their defense is worn out, and they're scoring too quickly. So the Ravens have a bad mix right now, and it's concerning. You can obviously point to the Derrick Henry fumbles. He's fumbled 3 games in a row. 2 of them have been in the fourth quarter. I feel bad for him because the one yesterday, Aiden Hutchinson gets upfield and then kind of retraces and hits that ball out. That's a tough break. He didn't see him coming. He wasn't ready for it. Credit Aiden Hutchinson for some amazing hustle on that play. But that mix with the Ravens of having this really explosive offense that wasn't perfect last night in the second half and not staying on the field long enough, especially when you got a runner like Derrick Henry and exposing your defense too much, they're going to have to think about schematically how they want to handle this because it is not a winning formula for the Ravens. They're in trouble. So the Ravens, they play the Chiefs next week. The loser of that game is going to be 1-3. How about that? The loser of the Ravens-Chiefs game next week is going to be one of those teams is going to be 1-3. Who had that going before the season?
I wouldn't have taken that bet. If you would have told me that, I would not have taken that bet. I'd say there's no way.
Yeah. The Lions' fourth down call is fantastic. Late in the game on 4th and 2. Amon-Ra St. Brown is my favorite receiver in football. One of my favorite players in football. No BS. He's a grinder. He'll do everything he's asked to do. There's zero attitude, zero throw me the ball, I'm pissed off. You talk about a value pick in the 3rd round, Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC. That's my favorite receiver in football. I can't think of a better number 1 that will do literally everything you ask of him. He is so valuable to what they're doing, and he's durable. I love watching that guy play.
No, I think it's so impressive with what Detroit's doing with the coordinators. I know how difficult it is to mesh with new coordinators, and week 1, there's a lot of nerves. This is the coordinator's first time calling plays. It's the first time as you being a quarterback listening to that play call come in from this coordinator. There's a meshing and there's time has to happen to where that confidence builds up. For them to be this 3 weeks into the season and figure this out and have the last 2 games that they've had in these situations with these coordinators, I have a lot of applause for Dan Campbell and the culture he's built. Like, that is a strong culture. When you can bring in 2 new coordinators and do what you've been doing this quickly, I love the Lions. I loved them last year. I love them this year. I think Jared Goff's doing a great job. I'm a huge fan of David Montgomery, who's my teammate in Chicago. They're going to be a team to watch. I'm excited for them with the coordinators. And then, you mentioned Derrick Henry. 3 fumbles already in the last 3 games. Throughout his career, he's had 22 career fumbles, lost 10 of them. But that's on over 2,500 career
He's only lost 10 his whole career?
That's
he's lost 3 in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Now, with the type of player he is, he'll figure it out. They've been sort of some free situations like the retracing. That's tough. One of the best players in the game. He'll figure it out. But like you said, it's funny with Baltimore. They have an issue. Their offense is so good and their defense isn't. That is their problem. It's a unique problem to have, but that's where you mentioned the trade deadline coming up. They're going to have to be aggressive to fix the holes in that defense to create a complementary football team to give them a chance to, as they go throughout this season, make the playoffs and make a run. But this is a abnormal Baltimore team right now. This isn't normal for their defense to be struggling like this. So I'm really curious as this trade deadline approaches with all these teams, specifically what the Baltimore Ravens will do on defense.
So we mentioned how, and we're going to get to this on Friday, but they're going to the Chiefs. One of those teams is going to be 1-3. And right now Baltimore's favored at Arrowhead, which doesn't surprise me because the Chiefs, they look like they might even not. We're not talking about them today, but they might not even be a playoff team.
We have a game coming up on Thursday. We're going to talk about that?
We do. Hold on. We're going to get to the Eagles too, though. So Goff, and by the way, Jared Goff and Dan Campbell in primetime is something special. So minimum 10 appearances. They've got an 857 win percentage.
That's insane.
At primetime. And
wow.
On the leaderboard next to them, and we're talking about minimum of 10 games, are Peyton and Jim Caldwell and Steve Young and Mariucci. So this is like a graphic I saw earlier today. It's like, oh my goodness. Those dudes have something going in primetime. No question about that. Okay, before we get to Thursday Night Football, Nick, Eagles beat the Rams 33-26. I want to talk quickly about a million different ways to look at this game. Obviously, special teams played a factor, which we already talked about. They were down 26-7.
Yeah, it looked ugly.
It looked like the game was going to get away from them. I thought it might get ugly. look, and I respect the hell out of the Eagles and their ability to win football games, but I'm like, this doesn't look good. And from that point on, Jalen Hurts threw for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half alone. Okay, prior to that run that I just said in the second half, he had 0 touchdown passes in 10 quarters of football and 17 yards passing in the first half versus the Rams. That deserves criticism. Like, say what you want. You can be an ardent or diehard Philly fan. You see those numbers, you're going to get criticized as a passer. After the game, Jalen and A.J. Brown, I thought implied in their post-game interview that they're messing around too much with play calling early in games, or really the first 2 games and the first half of this game. They're not pleased about it. And it was obvious that they opened it up more in the second half. It was obvious they were trying to get the ball to A.J. Brown more down the field. Patullo seems like that's his first name, right? Patullo?
Kevin, yeah.
He seems like he's almost trying too hard to establish the run.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sit here and tell you Jalen Hurts is an all-world passer, but what he's capable of came out in the second half against a good Rams defense. Jalen seemed frustrated to me after the game about why they were even there in the first place. Drew Brees, who's going to be a regular contributor on First Take on ESPN this year, just today on ESPN was quoted as saying the Eagles' offense is boring. I'm applauding Drew because, to be honest with you, when he was at NBC, I thought Drew was boring as a broadcaster, and now he's making comments like that. I'm like, well, Drew, welcome to the party. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
like, I agree with him. Up until that second half, I think their offense is boring. I mean, I love watching Saquon play, but there wasn't enough variety, like chances being taken down the field. So it's hard to disagree with him. But something changed at halftime, and Jalen flourished against a really good young defense in the second half.
Yeah.
What were your observations on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's once again, we talk about a new coordinator, Kevin Patullo, hired from within. That becomes difficult because his role was different last year. So now you're the offensive coordinator calling the plays, but there's a lot of coaches within that facility that you were their peers, you were their level last year when Kellen Moore was calling plays. Now all of a sudden you're the guy calling plays. Relationships, it's hard because you got this great O-line coach in Jeff Stoutland that wants to run the ball this way. You have a passing game that wants to pass the ball this way. My question for them is, are they meshing? Are they complementary of each other by the looks, by the alignments, by the personnel? My guess is that from just seeing them, there's too many keys for the defense. When they know, hey, 2 tight ends on the field, it's a run play. Different personnel are determining, hey, when they're running, everyone knows they want to establish the run. They have to be dangerous at doing both. They have to be dangerous at passing the ball. They have to be dangerous running, but they need the looks to look similar. They need to be complementary. The defense shouldn't be able to key when it's pass run. There needs to be some play action. There should be wide open receivers down the field because they are so good at running the ball in play action. Because what fans don't realize is because they're so good at running, they have to bring one more defender in the box, so it should be a post-safety look. Because they have to have that extra guy to stop the run game. But with that, there's less guys in the secondary. There's more air in the secondary. And because they are so good, they're going to be tighter down. Every time Jalen goes to show the ball or goes to hand off the ball, they're trying to be aggressive to the run, which opens it up for these receivers and tight ends down the field. It should be a gash every single time, a bootleg. All these things should be working. They are not. That is really scary to me. Yes, Jalen Hurts goes off in the second half. They throw the ball. But a lot of those were just, hey, a comeback backside to A.J. Brown, big hands, makes a play. Hey, we got the backside dagger route coming in. Hey, Devontae Smith wide open right here. Awesome play. Big reason why they won the game is these passing plays. But they don't really marry up with the running game. I think they have to sit down as an offensive staff and say, hey, Coach Stoutland, we know you love running the ball out of this personnel. What pass plays work with these same formations, these same personnel that can give us a great play action pass down the field? Let's marry those up. Right. Hey, we're going to go 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 3 receivers on the field. What are our looks running the ball? What do we like alignment-wise? What do we like motion-wise? Let's find some pass plays that are complementary with these looks so everything meshes. What screen plays are we going to do? I believe the problem is they have a run game they want to do and a pass game they want to do, and they're not blended. And then you got a coach that is hired from within that's trying to find the confidence to call these plays without upsetting the O-line coach, the head coach, the receivers coach. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. They have to clean it up. Jalen Hurts shows what he could do in the second half. throwing the ball. The receivers show what they can do catching the ball. They have two of the best receivers in the game. And then they have Dotson in the slot, working the slot. They have Dallas Goedert at tight end. They have Saquon and all these running backs out of the backfield. They have to figure this out. If they do not, it is going to be a huge issue. And I know they have Tampa coming up. We'll talk about it on Friday. They struggle down in Tampa, so that'll be a fun conversation for their day. It shows how good they are as an organization and franchise to find a way to win.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing they won with a blocked field goal, 2 blocked field goals, all those things. But as you saw the clip of Jalen Hurts, once the field goal is blocked and Jordan Davis is running back, he's not happy. And I love seeing that out of him. I would love to see him celebrate a little bit more because blocked field goal to win a game, like I don't care how bad of a game you had, or like he had a great game actually in the second half and all that. You're going to be excited, but he was so stoic.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I think is because he knows they have a lot of issues. He's not happy where the offense is. It's very different than when it was last year. They are just so talented that they can get away with it right now with winning these games. That's going to catch up to them if they don't fix this. So
yeah,
I think there's a lot of issues there for a 3-0 team that is so explosive. They're going to have to figure out how to marry everything together. Once they do that,
yeah,
be unstoppable. But until then, they got figured out.
I mean, this team knows how to win. We're gonna go over power rankings on Friday, which will be super interesting because there's still a lot of respect for the Eagles from where we sit. There's no question about that.
No doubt.
In a lot of ways, it's encouraging to win a game like that. Also tells you a lot about what a team's made of.
Yes.
And you saw what Jalen's capable of in the second half, and they have to find a way to do more of that. But to your point about marrying plays, so often pass plays are called, and all of a sudden, hey, let's run it. And it goes over to the run game coordinator who basically like spins the wheel and goes, oh, let's run this play. There's no right reason, right? There has to be a marrying between the two. All right, before we finish up here, Thursday Night Football this week. Our next show is going to be on Friday after Thursday Night Football. So we're going to hit it really quick. Seattle travels to Arizona. Right now, the line is Seattle -1.5 as of Tuesday. Seattle -1.5. James Conner's out. Really unfortunate for him to have the injury he had. He's a leader in that locker room. Still a very productive player, too. Seattle, on the other hand, a very complete football team. The defense has been really, really good. In spurts, Sam Darnold has also been good. But on special teams, defense, offense, it is a complementary brand of ball they play, and they've been really good. Arizona, on the other hand, has struggled offensively. San Francisco's defense is good. Last week, they only scored 15 points against San Francisco. Their defense is good, even though it's banged up. Arizona's got some issues, though. Seattle goes down there on a short week. Health is usually a premium. With James Conner being out, and I don't love the direction that Arizona's going right now. I love the complete brand of football that Seattle's playing. I'm going Seattle -1.5 in that game.
Dude, this could be the big Nick pick of the week, like sure thing. I don't understand how Arizona's favored to win this game.
No, Seattle's favored by 1.5.
Oh, 1.5? I was looking at some old. But
Seattle
even then, I think Seattle won by double digits both times last year. They're on a 7-game win streak against the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, it's a road game. But
there's not a competitive advantage playing in Arizona. That's like one of my favorite stadiums. That's not a competitive advantage with the fan base and stuff there. I love Arizona. Went to school in Tucson, but I loved, like, when I was an away team going to play there, I loved the venue. I loved the stadium. I love being back in Arizona. I'm picking Seattle every day of the week this week.
Love it.
And twice on Thursday.
Yeah, Seattle, that division's interesting with the Rams and Seattle. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, Arizona, obviously not the biggest threat, but the Niners have a lot of injuries. They're 3-0, but they're loaded with injuries, and it's hard to know where they end up this year. So this could be an interesting divisional game too for Seattle as we get move forward in the season. So again, this was a week 3 recap show. We will be back in studio Friday morning after the Thursday night game to react to Thursday night and also talk about this weekend slate. We'll do our picks. And get into more week 4 storylines that we're really looking forward to. So we thank everybody for joining us. This was episode 6, week 3 reaction show of the Season Pod. Check us out on Instagram at the Season Pod, the SZN Pod. Our YouTube links are also in there as well, so you can watch the video version of this or just listen on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. We thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can also listen to me pronounce all the words correctly.
Bengals.
Bengals, potential.
Potential.
Have a great day.
See ya.